Kas'ta çalışıyor. Resimresini yapıyor. Madem bu kadar iyi, sen ne iş yapıyorsun? Ben geliyorum oğlum buradan ya.
Senin bir fotoğrafını çekebilir miyim?
Niye? Bakalım küçük beyinlerinize bir şey girsin diye uğraşıyorum burada.
Öyle geliyor ki dünyada güzel olan her şey daha insana ulaşamadan insanın kendi ördüğü ağlarda kalıyor.
As an opening remark, I just wanted to ask you, like, what was main thought behind the film? What was your idea that you brought in here? What?
It's actually a real story. It's inspired by the diaries of a real teacher. And we wrote the script together, 3 people, my wife, the owner of the diaries. And most of the details in the film actually happened in the real life. But of course, we added a lot of things to make it a film. It's not we just wanted to make a film about life, about the human relations, not about politics. I don't like politics. There are a lot of political details in the film, but it's not my main concern. It's just a background issue. I like telling stories about the human relations. That's all.
Yeah, and we were seeing the trailer also, and those who are in the movie, like snow is also an integral part of your film. It's like it's coming out as a character in itself.
Yeah.
Few words about that.
It's because it increases the feeling of the isolation of the character, the snow. If this part of Turkey is the coldest part of Turkey, and you have snow there about 6 months. We needed it because otherwise it's not easy to shoot the film. You know, we needed a lot of time for snow. Otherwise, if you cannot finish your shooting, you have to wait next year. The shootings was about 3.5 months. We spent a lot of time. It was my longest script actually. It was 250 pages. For instance, Winter Sleep was the same length of a movie, but it was just 160 pages. This is much longer. And I shot everything, and in the editing I made it shorter.
And also coming to the duration of the film, quite long, 3 hours, and was it
Yes,
intentional?
but you have a lot of movies.
Yeah, we
I
have a
heard.
lot of movies in India and
Bollywood.
Bollywood. Yeah.
3 hours is usual for you.
So you wanted to keep it long.
No, it was 5 hours.
5. Okay.
So I cut it to 3 hours and 17 minutes.
So now we open the floor to the audience here. Yes, please.
Congratulations. Being a legend director, beautiful journey of all over globally, all over the world. More than 6 to 7 films of yours traveled various film festivals. I just wanted to know, as a director, which movie have given a beautiful best award as a director of your movie?
Can you please explain?
Uh,
Please be seated because you're blocking the camera.
your movie as a director, have you won which movie of yours as a best director award?
I'm on
Best,
different.
Best Director Award in Cannes, it was Three Monkeys.
Wow.
It
And
was,
He's asking which you consider as the movie
Aha.
yours.
uh, which movie
You
of
consider
mine I like most?
you like
Ah.
most.
I think I like The Sleep most. If it's my preference, but
And- have you released this movie,
in Turkey,
theatrical release?
in Turkey,
In theaters.
Theater.
yeah, yes, of course, yeah.
How was the response, you know?
Response was the best
Very,
in terms of the numbers.
yeah,
In terms of the box office, it was the best in Turkey.
very nice.
Maybe it's not because of the movie. It's maybe I'm getting more and more famous. I don't know. Reason we don't know, but it was the best results. Thank you.
Next
Sir,
question, please.
my name is Siraj Sayyed. I'm India correspondent for filmfestivals.com from Paris. In India, you are a legendary director. Whenever we talk about Turkish cinema, no conversation is complete without a substantial contribution of yours being discussed. And we are really happy that in Goa, 20 years after this festival started, you have come here. So first of all, welcome to Goa. Secondly, though you said that politics is not your main concern, it is a sub culture kind of thing coming into your film. It's not your main concern.
Politics.
Politics.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Turkey being at the border of Europe and Asia, and you know, this constant talk of whether it is a European country or whether it's an Asian country, and you go to that little waterway which separates Europe and Asia. How does this unique position impact human relationships in Turkey, being sort of influenced by both Asia and Europe?
Actually, it's a good question. Probably Turkey has both cultures. We know both sides quite well. I mean, when you think of Iran, for instance, our eastern neighbor, we look quite similar. I mean, I understand them very well. And I can understand and feel all the details in the Iranian movies. But when you think of our western neighbors, it's also very close. You know, even in Turkey, when you go to the western side, it's more European. If you go to the eastern side, it's more Eastern culture. And knowing both cultures, I think it's kind of richness. So we can use it as a filmmaker, as a kind of richness. But this also means a kind of struggle, you know. There is always a struggle between these two poles, in a way. And Turkey tries to find its way in the struggle, but we'll see. Of course, most of the people wants to be part of the Europe in Turkey, but it's not easy. There are problems.
Continuing on the same note, is filmmaking completely free, or is censorship and government interference causing you any kind of problems?
Of course, there is a censorship in every country, but the censorship changes. But I think it doesn't prevent the artist. Sometimes motivates, you know. You find a way to get rid of the censorship in a way. So it makes you more creative in a way. If you talk about my cinema is not so not in the risky places, you know. So I didn't have any problem of censorship but there may be some other friends who makes a different kind of cinema. and they struggle with censorship maybe more. But for my cinema, it's not a problem. It was not a problem in my films.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm Harish from Mumbai. I think, your film, Fondly Moving, it was. You have touched the core of relationships and the web of intricacies, this thing. So I find one of the central area of your film is the insecurities of men. When you talk about masculinity, it has been interrogated very beautifully and with so many layers and nuances. So the vulnerable side of men, which normally do not get portrayed very easily, even by well-known feminist male filmmakers who will make film on women. But to make film about the vulnerable side of men, I think that the film brilliantly says. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit your thought on this aspect, the insecurity of men.
Yes, I think it's also a good question, but it's very hard to speak in English for me. Yes, because I make films about my fears, about my weak sides, and about my insecurity and everything. So I know this aspect of life best, when I just look at my own soul. So I can put more details about this since I am one of them. And my whole life, since the childhood, I always felt insecure in life. And I always felt kind of stranger, alone, lonely, wherever I am. So all these feelings is a good subject for me to make a film. Other subjects actually doesn't interest me that much because this subject I had to do films because I need it. It's like therapy for me, Otherwise, I don't find enough motivation to make films. For instance, like I can't make a film about political things because I think journalists also can write them, You don't need an artist for that, I think, that much. But this ambiguous stuff, I search for it through the films because I never tell the stories that I know. I make films about something which is ambiguous for me as well. I search through the films,
Next question, please. Mike.
Hmm?
Your area, with which area you want to relate, which area, what is your genre? What type of
Ne? Tür, genre. I don't like genre cinema actually. I prefer. No.
Next question there on the back.
Congratulations for the film and providing us a wonderful masterpiece again. So my question is, how do you envision the emotional tone for the movie actually? Because much of your story is inspired by the true event. So in terms of set and location and choosing the actor, how do you envision and setting the emotional tone of the movie? So how the process goes?
Anladınız mı hocam ya? I couldn't understand.
So it is like you have envisioned a story and a script, and you have to connect it with the actors so that they bring out in the screen. Because most of your films are so deeply related to human relations. So how do you bring about your thought is transferred into the screen? So how do you bring about that?
I don't know. You know, when you start writing a film, you never know what to write. Slowly, you know, ideas come from there, and like a river, streams come together, and even when I finish the film, I don't know what it looks like really. It's You make most of the things with intuitions, you know. Not I'm not an analytical filmmaker, you know. I don't make films like an engineer. I do something, but I don't know what I did.
Question at the back. Yeah.
Mr. Jailan, thank you for the film. My name is Runa. It was a very nice film. It was long, and in India, we are used to long films, but we are used to fast-paced films. This one was great. Towards the end, once he's reached the end of summer in the film, and there is the monologue, and a lot of what he's pondering about involves again talking to Simev in his mind. And I wondered why you were choosing that he's representing all of that again through a child, where hopefully he's left that relationship back and he's moving forward with the adult relationships that he has. Why did you choose to represent being stuck at that point in life through Simev again?
Uh-huh. So why is the monologue in a way?
Why the monologue, but involving Simev after school
Seven.
is over and...
Because he couldn't get rid of that thought, you know. If you can't get rid of it, you always turn back to it, you know. Because he couldn't formulate it in his head. I mean, if there is such a problem you can't get rid of, you try to formulate it, which will relieve you, you know, And so I wanted to show his urge to formulate it. Monologue is that. But we don't have to believe what he says in the monologue. That's also true, because he formulates the things in the way that the thoughts will relieve him, relax him, or so it's a kind of trauma for him. So he needs to do something, and he always thinking about it. So I wanted to show this formulation that he formulates. But what he formulates, he doesn't believe himself, I think, also that much. And because at the very end of the film, we see it in his expression after the bird flies. He couldn't convince himself, I believe.
Okay. I wondered whether there was a possibility of a different attachment with Simev than he was willing to acknowledge.
Can you repeat again?
I said I wondered whether it was possible that most of the time he is trying to show that he sees Simev as a child, but is there the possibility, by her being in the monologue, that he actually doesn't see her like that and has a different thought for her?
You have to explain. Make it simpler, please.
I actually don't know how. So Simev is a child to him, yeah? And in all the time that he's trying to discipline her and tell her to do what is right, I felt like he's trying to reinforce to himself also that she's a child. But when it's the final monologue and it's about where his life is going, she is there in that. She she appears in that
Yeah,
monologue.
yeah.
And he's moving forward with his life with adults. So, what is the reason for her being in that particular space of his mind?
Yeah, because what she did. When she did something he never expected, she is an adult anymore, maybe. Uh,
Now I see.
you know,
Yeah, now I see. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Hello, I'm Sandeep. I'm a cinematographer. So I have this question about
Close to the
when you in the process of writing, when you start working with actors. So in most of your film, we see long conversations and like heavy debates and a detailed conversation, and every character bring in something. Like I think it's very important perspective of that character comes. So while working on shoot or even in rehearsal, uh, do you incorporate those things in your writing or in film, which is coming from actors in improvisations? So can you just elaborate on your writing process and your work with actors and how actors bring the that emotional perspective you were talking about?
I don't like rehearsals much. Before the shooting, we don't make rehearsals. Maybe only one time, just reading and something like that. But this debates, especially all the film, is quite well written. I mean, I don't like improvisation at first. I want them to memorize everything, just as written. When we succeeded, then I give them some freedom. Then I feel okay. And if you have something, if you want to try something, you can do now. So they can do as much as they like. But it's very difficult for the actors to go out of the script. They are used to it. If it's well written, they cannot go very far away. But sometimes there are small things, they can say it some different way. If it works, I use it. I try everything I can imagine. Everything. But in this film and in my last films, let me say, everything is written. Not much improvisation at all.
So in addition to that, when your film goes like while shooting also, you can imagine it's going to become a longer film. Like while making it, you can afford like 200 minutes or something.
When I shoot it, I never think about that. Never at all. I just shoot. Because in the shooting, you shouldn't decide on anything. And for instance, oh, this shoot was terrific. It's okay. No, you shouldn't think that way. Because in the editing, you see that, oh, it's not good. So you shouldn't be sure of anything. You should shoot different energies, different ways, everything you can imagine. Then in the editing, it's the only time you have time, many times. But the shooting, you have limited time, so you can't see the reality, And there are many things, but in the editing, you are more concentrated. So most of the time, you use the most unexpected shoot. It's completely different reality. If a director is really sure of himself in the shooting, I think it's no good. Shooting is really deceiving place. You should know this. Even if I like it very much when they I make them act differently also. Much lower, much softer, much less energy, or just the opposite. You should try.
Thank you.
Is there any other question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. My name is Deepak Jain, and I'm a film school student. So I wanted to know how's your relationship? How do you go about choosing a cinematographer? First, I watched your film Three Monkeys, and after that, I continues to watch your films also immediately. So, how do you go about choosing your cinematographer?
Actually, in my first films, I was using the camera myself until Uzak, but when I in Climates, since I was an actor, so I had to choose. When I worked with a cinematographer, I liked it because I should concentrate on the acting. So it's nice that you have a cinematographer. And I worked with the same one all time, but in the last film I changed it. This one. But I chose this one because it was free. Because it was free and it was from the national television, and we had a partnership with the television, so I took the most qualified cinematographer. Since I know the business cinematography, I don't give much importance because I can control whoever comes. But for most of the other directors, cinematography is more important because they don't know much about lighting and etc. But I know I have a lot of ideas about that, so I can work with everybody. I think I let the personality more. I mean, a cinematographer with ego, a lot of ego, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this side.
But of course, I cannot follow like old times. The technology changed. They should know all the technology, and new developments, everything. I think it's very important for the cinematographer, and they should have a feeling of the light and the framing, etc. You know that.
Hi, sir. So my question is regarding the scene where he visits Noor at night, and right before they are about to go to bed, he goes out into the set and goes to the washroom, takes a pill, and then he comes back in. I just wanted to know what was the thought behind including that in the sequence.
I was not sure of that, so I shot about 3 versions of that in different parts of the film. And in the editing, I thought this one works well because it was it was harmonic with the film, I thought, and also it was in the climax of the film during the and I wanted to, how do you say? Neydi o kelime ya? I wanted the audience watch the film with a different eye, in a way. It's hard to talk in English about this.
Personally had different opinions about that sequence. But I found it very interesting. Like it makes you think, at least it makes you think as to why that was put in there, as the film is self-aware of itself. I was watching it, there's a particular tone, there's particular emotion running, and suddenly you see this person leave that world and sort of come into our world. And I just wanted to know what the thought behind it was.
Yeah.
Another question I had was, so you said when you're working with your actors, you have everything strictly planned. They stick to it. You want it in a particular way. There are certain gazes that I've noticed, certain manner in which the characters look at each other. There are points where you see the protagonist look very menacing, like he looks down, and then you see this sort of evil in his eye. Was that pre-planned, or is that something you discovered during rehearsals, or during practice?
Of course, during the process, because we don't plan. I don't plan how to shoot it. We have just the dialogues. Of course, I imagine something when I write them, but I search everything during the shooting. But I try different things, as I said before. And in the editing, maybe I used something else. I mean, I shoot something for some other scene, but I use it for somewhere else sometimes, you know. So it's about human psychology. You know, it's very unexpected and very surreal in a way. And in the editing, if you have a lot of materials, I think you can make a lot of things about the human nature. It's unexpected side of it.
Thank you, sir.
So now we don't have any questions. So thank you very much for
Thank
this
you.
interaction,
Thank you.
and have a wonderful stay in India.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.